So as you guys know, J.D. Vance has been phenomenally unpopular. In fact, he's so unpopular, he is the most unpopular VP pick in modern American history. He makes Sarah Palin seem like a dynamic, charismatic, beloved figure. That's how bad he is. And his numbers keep slipping, by the way. They keep going down and down and down. If you look at all the individual states, his approval rating is underwater. Nationally, his approval rating is underwater. And that's to compare with Tim Walz, who his national approval rating is over water. And then in the individual states, his approval rating in most of them is double digits over water. So in other words, even all the policies aside, just the vibe and the energy that's given off by J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, it's night and day. People just like Tim Walz. He seems like your pleasant, lovable neighbor. And people despise J.D. Vance. He seems like an elitist frat boy snob. And look, I think people are generally correct about their view of both of these characters. Okay, so why are we talking about J.D. Vance? Well, all these things came to my attention in a short time span, and I had to share them with you because, I mean, this is indefensible. What you're about to see here is absolutely indefensible. So let's start with this. J.D. Vance said one of his rallies, and he says this about Kamala and the Democrats.
Harris wants to ban fracking, ban offshore drilling, take away your gas cars, and by the way, I think in America you ought to be able to drive whatever the hell you want to because this is America, and we believe in freedom. She wants to take away your gas stoves. She even wants to take away your ability to eat red meat. That's how out there she is. That's real. The fake news will fact check it. They'll fact check it true. She actually said that. In other words, she thinks that she's better than us. She thinks she's better than you.
Now, needless to say, literally every point he made there is totally false. Every single one. Even ones that I wish were true are false. She's going to ban fracking. If you believe that, you have the brain of an otter. Like, what are we talking about here? Guys, and Trump says this all the time in his rallies too. They used to say, they're going to ban air travel. There's going to be like no more airplanes. They're going to ban your gas stoves. You do understand this all came from an absolute fucking fake moral panic not that long ago. There was a report that came out which just scientifically studied the impact of having gas stoves. And come to find out, if you have a gas stove in your house, the rates of cancer are way up as a direct result of it. The rates of, lung issues and emphysema, and I forget all the particulars, but the fact of the matter is it was statistically significant that gas stoves led to all of these health problems, and there wasn't a causation-correlation problem. They controlled for the factors, and that was the bottom line. It's just an objective scientific study. And then as soon as that came out, Fox News went into defense mode, and they started accusing Democrats of, look, they want to ban gas stoves. What? There was also a fake news story about how, there's a law in New York that bans the gas stoves. And then, of course, we did a deep dive on it because we're the people who actually give a shit about facts and information and found out that was a total fake news story. They totally misled people by saying, New York already banned gas stoves and the Democrats want to ban. None of this shit is true. None of this shit is true. But understand something. The reason they have to overreach to this extent is because they have fucking nothing. That's not to say there aren't legitimate arguments against Kamala Harris and against the Democrats. Of course they are, but every single one of those arguments comes from their left. A good argument against Kamala Harris is, hey, you said you supported Medicare for all. She never really did, but you said you did. Now you're not only are you not for Medicare for all, you're not for a public option. You're for just expanding Obamacare. No, we need to go further. At the very least, we need a public option. Really, we need single-payer Medicare for all. That's a criticism that is legitimate. A criticism that's legitimate is, hey, you should be in favor of banning fracking, and we need to make a transition to green and renewable technology ASAP, bro. Have you seen the nightmare stories coming out about the climate every single week now? These are fucking terrifying stories, and we're the frog in boiling water. That's a legitimate criticism of her. It's not a legitimate criticism to bring up that she's going to ban fracking as if she's actually going to ban fracking. These fucking assholes know she's not going to ban fracking. They know that. They understand that. In fact, they increased fracking. The difference is the Democrats, not only will they approve fracking, they will try to offset that. There's 300,000 new green technology jobs they created. So they're doing the old school, the Obama line, all of the above approach. That's what they're doing. And all the above approach is better than just fuck it, let's do big oil and fossil fuels from now until the end of time, until we die. And that's the Republican position. Let's take the money from big oil. Let's take the money from fracking companies. Let's only do dirty energy and forget green technology. Let's kneecap green technology at every single turn. No more 300,000 jobs that are created. No more solar. No more wind. No more geothermal. No more anything. That's done. That's gone. We're against that. This is their position. They don't have a single legitimate criticism. He came out and said, I want a $5,000 extended child tax credit. Kamala said, I want a $6,000 extended child tax credit. Brilliant move, by the way. But as J.D. Vance is virtue signaling like he supports that policy, they literally just had a vote on extending the child tax credit, and he didn't go. He dodged it. He didn't go. You know what that tells me? It tells me you're not really for it. If you prioritized it, you would have fucking went there to extend the child tax credit. You didn't do it. And if you did go, you would have voted with all of your Republican colleagues, over 40 of them, voted against extending the child tax credit. This man is a fucking sniveling little weasel and a liar. That's what he is. Oh, I'm for the working class, Mr. I'm for the working class. Really? What are your thoughts on the PRO Act? Oh, that's right. You're against it. What are your thoughts on the minimum wage? Oh, that's right. You were just asked the other day by a reporter what you and Trump's position on the minimum wage is, and you completely dodged the question. Why? Because you don't want to raise the minimum wage. Remember that? He tweeted some shit like, daycare is an elitist policy, a war on working people. Come get your fucking pro-worker liar here. He ain't no pro-worker person. He's a fraud. He's a fraud. And everything he just said there was a total lie. He's going to take away your gas stoves. Look at the shit they have to say because they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. It's stuff like this and the other shit that you hear Trump saying is like, she hates Israel. Israel's going to be gone in 2 years. They've only delivered 7,000 times new weapons and bullets to them. That's all they've done. They need to do it 7,042 times like me. You got to let them finish the job. You got to let them annex the West Bank. Why haven't you let them annex the West Bank yet? Fuck these people, man, but I'm not done. I'm not done. This is why J.D. Vance was picked as his vice president. This is the main reason why Trump picked him. Ready? Watch this.
He was asked to not certify it.
Sure.
So would you have certified? I'll ask you for the third.
Again, I would have asked the states to submit alternative slates of electors and let the country have the debate about what actually matters and what kind of an election that we had.
You
in
wouldn't have
these important
certified
states.
To be clear.
I would have asked the states to submit alternative slates of
I think
electors. That's what I would have done. Again, I've said that publicly many times.
So that's him saying, if I was in Mike Pence's shoes, I would have not certified the election. I would have said, give me the alternate slates of electors. And that would have set up a massive constitutional crisis, and Trump wouldn't be leaving at the time he's supposed to leave. You'd probably have to have an emergency session of the Supreme Court, and then you'd have to cross your fingers and hope that they don't say, yeah, we're going to let this guy steal the election because of reasons and stuff and things. He's admitting, if I was in Mike Pence's shoes, I would have been a fucking coward and caved to the bully and overturned the peaceful transition of power. This is what he's saying. And he softens the language like the little weasel boy he is. Because the reality is, JD, there were no more alternate slates of electors. That ship had sailed. The secretaries of states and the governors had said, this thing is over. So they weren't alternate slates, they were fraudulent slates of electors. You know who called them fraudulent electors? And you know who called them fake electors? And you know who called this an illegal vote counting scheme? Trump and all of his internal staffers. This is what they were saying internally at the time, and this was part of Jack Smith's indictment. He's like, don't tell me you thought you won the election and you thought all this was legitimate. Don't tell me that, because in your own emails, you say fraudulent electors, fake electors, and illegal vote counting scheme. That's what you say. That's what you say. It was over. It was done. The ship had sailed. The conservatives like to bring up, in Hawaii in the 1960s, there was an alternate slate of electors. The difference is, in that instance, it was actually an alternate slate. The election wasn't certified yet. It was razor fucking close. So they sent two slates, and then whenever somebody won, that's the slate that they went with. We were past that point. The secretaries of states and the governors had already said, this is done. This is over. There's no more room for alternate slates. They've exhausted every process that they went through by legal means to try to get this thing overturned. And they were wrong. They had their 60-plus court cases rejected, and the results were in. It was done. It was over. The states that needed a recount did their recount. It was over. It was done. And he said, I would have sent the alternate slates of electors. So in other words, you wouldn't certify the election even though the election was done. You're saying I would have overturned democracy, and that's exactly why you were picked for this position. That's exactly why you were picked for this position, because you're a sycophantic, putrid little freak who wants to be close to power. And back when you thought it would help you get ahead in life to shit on Trump on CNN all day, that's what you did. That's when you were an anti-Trump conservative. Then, oh, would you look at that? You had this change of heart. As a fucking grown-ass man in like his 40s, you had a change of heart, and all of a sudden, oh, Trump is wonderful, and he's misunderstood, and the fake news media says all these. What a fucking crazy person, man. What a crazy person. And then, finally, let me give you this. So, you guys know, this came up in the debate the other day, too. The right has been spreading this fake news story. The story is, there are Haitian immigrants, and they're eating cats, and they're eating geese. Now, by the way, Trump couldn't even get the fake news facts correct. He said they're eating dogs. So he's doubly wrong. He's not even right on the fake facts of the fake news story. Unbelievable. Anyway, so the right was memeing about this. Because haha hee hee, we're in our own little bubble and we jack each other off even though we're fucking idiots. Look, Elon Musk said something. Look, Jack Posobiec said something. Look, here's an AI-generated image of Trump holding a cat and saving its life. Regular people look at you with disgust. You guys are fucking repulsive. You spread this fake-ass, racist moral panic. None of this shit is true. You take a fake news story and you run with it. And then when the media is like, hey, that's inaccurate, you guys melt down. Ready? So J.D. Vance comes out and says this. In the last several weeks, my office has received many inquiries from actual residents of Springfield who've said their neighbors, pets, or local wildlife were abducted by Haitian migrants. It's possible, of course, that all of these rumors will turn out to be false. They are false. And you know that. Which is why you put that line in there. He continues, do you know what's confirmed? That a child was murdered by a Haitian migrant who had no right to be here, that local health services has been overwhelmed, that communicable diseases like TB and HIV have been on the rise, that local schools have struggled to keep up with newcomers who don't know English, that rents have risen so fast that many Springfield families can't afford to put a roof over their head. Here is Kamala Harris bragging about giving amnesty to thousands of Haitian migrants. If you're a reporter or an activist who didn't give a shit about these suffering Americans until yesterday, I have some advice. Spare your outrage for fellow citizens suffering under Kamala Harris's policies. Be outraged at yourself for letting this happen. In short, don't let the crybabies in the media dissuade you, fellow patriots. Keep the cat memes flowing. Ha ha ha, I'm lay epic owning you. That's what I'm doing. I'm basically a fucking 4chan Nazi who's now VP. Ha ha ha, gotcha media. Oh, did you fact check me? Did you fact check me? Well, how about this? Fuck facts. I don't care about facts. What now, bitch? Keep the memes flowing. You are a child. You are a fucking child. By the way, needless to say, virtually everything he says there is untrue. There was a PBS NewsHour report on this community of legal Haitian immigrants. And one of the employers in the town has said, look, I got to be honest with you guys. These are family-oriented, hardworking people, always on time, always doing their best. They don't have a drug problem. They're religious. They go to church. Goes down the list. Like, basically, these are fucking model citizens. And honestly, I wish there were more of them here. That's the reality. All of the ugly, disgusting stereotypes that these freaks spread about immigrants, all of them are exactly incorrect. All of them. We've shown the numbers before, the Cato Institute study. Both documented immigrants and undocumented immigrants commit crime at a lower rate compared to natural-born American citizens. But you wouldn't know that if you listen to these idiots because they have their narrative to hump. And they have their scapegoat to point to for all the problems in this country. In other words, the problems are not the billionaires and the robber barons and the oligarchs and the kleptocrats and the corporations and the corrupt politicians. That's not the problem to J.D. Vance. The problem is, look at this person with no money and no power who's desperate and doing their best to get by. Blame them. This is divide and conquer 101. Try to make white working class people angry at black working class people, say they're the cause of all your problems. And oh, by the way, the core of what I'm saying is a complete fucking fake news story. They took one video of one person, not in Springfield, not a Haitian immigrant, having a fucking mental breakdown and eating a cat. They took that and they said, this is Haitian migrants, wrong. This is in Springfield, wrong. And this is some sort of fucking epidemic, wrong. Lie, 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 lie. When they're called out on lies, well, I guess that some of these rumors may turn out to be false, but it's okay because I'm right on the bigger point. That's the point he's making. When people are arrogantly wrong and they try, like, I'm going to try to dunk on you guys even though our narrative was busted as being completely untrue, that's the most pathetic thing. Hold your fucking L, you pudgy bitch. Hold your L. But he can't do it. He can't do it. So anyway, J.D. Vance is a repulsive little freak. That's what he is. And he's in way over his head. And the evidence of that is, look at his horrible numbers. Nobody likes this guy. Except the weirdest online right-wingers in the tightest, hermetically concealed? Is that the saying? They're in the deepest bubble you've ever seen. Right? Hermetically sealed is what it is. In the deepest hermetically sealed bubble you've ever seen. They think this guy's great. JD, go out there and shit on childish cat ladies more, man. We loved it when you did it for the 17th time the other day. You're not throwing the election against us. By the way, how'd that work out? Trump must be furious with this idiot. Why? He picks JD Vance. Now you got fucking Taylor Swift, the #1 pop star in the country, comes out and endorses Kamala and also throws the jab about the childless cat lady thing in there. Hemorrhaging suburban women because of who this guy is. Nothing but disdain for this guy. Nothing but disdain for this guy. The worst of the fucking worst. And when what they did is proven factually wrong, he's like, fuck it. I'm going to just go out there and say I'm right on the bigger point, even though I'm dead wrong on the bigger point. Piss off. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.